From RDS Wealth Management, this is The Retirement.
When you retire, if you want an exciting life, you need a boring investment strategy.
Matters.
If you enter into retirement without a plan for income, you're not retired, you're simply unemployed.
Podcast.
Hey, this is your host, Dale Smothers, and you're listening to the Retirement Matters Podcast. My hope is that you will find the information you need in every single show on how to do one of the three things: either saving more money more efficiently, planning better for your future where you can live in retirement worry-free, or my favorite, how you can live a happy and fulfilled life in this life you have been given. We know that your time is valuable, and we appreciate you spending it listening to this episode of the Retirement Matters Podcast. On this episode of the Retirement Matters Podcast, we discuss a very important piece for you as you approach retirement, or especially as you're living in retirement, and that is the tax plan. Namely, we want to help you lower your tax bill in the current year if possible, but certainly as we go throughout your retirement life, we want to make your lifetime tax bill as low as it possibly can be. And one of the best ways to do this is to utilize tools that allow us to get as much efficiency out of the current tax code as we can possibly achieve. Now, I like to think of our tax situation as if we're in a partnership with the IRS. And at no point would you enter into a partnership where your partner requires you to do all the work, take all the risk, have all the ideas, put up all the money and all the sweat equity. And then when it was time to take money out of this partnership, at that point in time, your partner would tell you how much of it was his or theirs. But that's exactly what we've done with the IRS. We have put money back into things like IRAs, 401ks, 403bs, and at some point in the distant future, we will take money out, but we have no idea how much of it the IRS is going to demand. A good income plan is the first step towards building the solid tax plan that you need to ensure that the money that you are bringing out of your retirement accounts is as much yours as it can possibly be. This is where RDS Wealth Management comes in. And in this podcast, we talk about a few tools that we use along the way. Now, each tool would be deployed differently depending on where you are in your journey and your unique situation. So very, very cautiously, I tell you to tread lightly with these tools and not to just go and deploy all of them into your own situation. Looking at this with your current advisor, whether that's a CPA or a financial advisor, is a wise decision. But what we believe to be even more wise is to sit down with someone who can help you in your exact phase you're in. If you are entering into retirement income phase, it's important that you're working with an income specialist, one that is specialized on that side of the retirement mountain. Now, if you're not familiar with what I'm discussing, when I say retirement mountain, just keep listening to the podcast and you'll learn a little bit of that because we mentioned that multiple times. Two different sides of the mountain, the growth phase and the income phase. In the income phase, tax planning is extremely important, and without doing it correctly, you will end up paying more in taxes than you had to. Or your beneficiaries will receive a substantial tax tumor, that's what we like to call it, that they have to cut out of their own inheritance when you're not here. So let's make sure that we have this done correctly. And as I said, this podcast is all about a few tools that will help us do that. If you need our assistance, give us a call or schedule a visit by running to our website, rdswealth.com. Schedule a visit on our website or give us a call at 270-600-PLAN. And someone on our team would be happy to assist you in taking the right first step towards the retirement you've always imagined. So with no further ado, I'd like to get you to this week's episode of the Retirement Matters Podcast, where we address how to lower your tax bill both in this year and for years to come throughout retirement. Enjoy the show. Good morning to you. I hope you're doing well. You're ready to start discussing all things retirement matters. I am really excited to get to today's show because we are going to be discussing ways that you can lower your tax bill in retirement. We're going to discuss all of this as we approach the end of the year. It is already the month of October, and it seems as if the year has flown by. We've seen the market hit all-time high after all-time high. Our clients at RD Smothers Wealth Management have made some really nice gains in the market. Depending on a client's risk tolerance and where they are in their retirement journey, 10, 20, 30% rates of return, even 50% rates of return have been realistic and very possible in the market that we've seen over the last 12 months. This has been an epic ride, and we have taken advantage of every opportunity along the way for our clients. But one of the things that we like to do here at the end of the year is take advantage of opportunities in the tax plan. This is one of the 5 worlds that we build for our clients here at RD Smothers Wealth Management. The tax plan, in our opinion, is just as important as the investment plan, and it should support your income plan. As we've discussed in many, many episodes, if you've ever heard our show, you've heard us discuss these things. But before we get started in all of that really important information and fun to talk about, because we save people money, we really want to hit our pause for positivity this week. And this week's pause for positivity is going to be a positive news story that I saw a couple of days ago. You may have saw it too. But one of the things that really stood out to me, and one of the reasons I wanted to bring it to you, is because it highlights that there are actually young people who are being taught correctly, and they're deploying the tools that they're being taught to make the world a brighter place around them. And if nothing else, it gives us a little bit of insight that the world's not nearly as dark as we may have thought otherwise. And we need more focus on these things, because if we're not careful and we focus only on the dark, we forget to turn on our own light. But when we see someone maybe turning on their light, we are more inspired to turn on ours. And again, because of that, the world becomes a brighter place. Now, this news story, it is a video that I'm going to play, but the audio tells the story just as well as if you were watching it. So let's jump into this news story from, I think, CBS, if I'm not mistaken. I can't recall what station I was watching when I saw this, but you're going to hear about gratitude. You're going to hear about preferring someone over yourself. You're going to hear about delayed gratification, and this is all coming from an 8-year-old. It's pretty incredible. Let's jump into the story right here.
As you can tell from the mad scrambles, just about everyone at a Major League Baseball game wants a foul ball.
Oh my God!
And 9-year-old Jamison Pennings is no exception.
I'll just be super happy.
In fact, Jamison so wanted a ball, earlier this month, his parents bought tickets to a Philadelphia Phillies game along the third base line, down near where the ball girl sometimes tosses foul balls into the crowd. And sure enough, 5th inning, that's exactly what happened. Parents, James and Eve Pennings.
He sat and he cherished it. And at one point, Dad, is that where the bat hit? Oh, yeah, that's where the bat hit.
And you thought he would cherish that forever?
Forever, yeah.
But forever only lasted a few innings.
I still astounded.
I'm very proud of him.
No.
Unbeknownst to his parents, earlier in the game, Jamison overheard a woman talking to that same ball girl. The woman was hoping to get a foul ball for her mother, Donna Morey, who was at the game celebrating her 80th birthday.
Unfortunately, getting anyone on the field to toss you a ball is a charm offensive that heavily favors the young. Jamison knew the odds of an 80-year-old getting a ball were slim to none. So he walked over to her, treasure in hand.
I was so shocked. I just didn't know what to say. It was unbelievable to me. It really was. And I said, why are you giving it to me?
I thought, she is way older, and she can't come to many more games, and I can go to more and get many more balls. So
Donna accepted the gift.
It symbolizes goodness in this world.
And Jamison is so glad she did.
So good to see you again.
Because he says he's actually happier without it.
Part of me says this doesn't make sense, though. You had a ball. You gave it away. Now you're left with nothing.
True, but I will leave feeling really good about myself. So, does it really matter that I left without a ball?
How's that for a game-winning sacrifice?
Dad, I have a gift for you. Let me go grab it.
Steve Hartman on the road
For the ball.
in Philadelphia.
Thank you.
All right. And for those of you who haven't seen that story, what he was giving her at the very end of that news story was a glass case so that she could display the ball. And that's just an incredible story all around. I wanted to share that with you this morning because I want you to know that you are not alone. This world is still full of people who care about their fellow man and about the ones around them. This is a beautiful, beautiful part of humanity. And I think we should champion that as we also try to spread it ourselves. So with this, I'm going to end our Pause for Positivity simply by telling you that there are other people of all ages out there trying to make this world a better place. And together, me and you, along with those who are also on this mission, will make this world a brighter and more optimistic place to live just by sharing the love that we have been freely given. So with that, let's take a quick break. We're going to go into a reset. We're coming back with a very important topic because nobody loves taxes. We're going to teach you how you can lower your tax bill in your investment accounts. Don't go anywhere. We're coming back with more Retirement Matters right after this. It's 4th and 1 with 2 seconds left in the game. Less than 1 yard separates you from victory. You have the best running back in the league, but your coach calls a Hail Mary. As silly as that sounds, we see a lot of retirement managers being far too aggressive with your investments when a more conservative play would be a better fit. You have questions, we have answers.
Contact RD Smothers Wealth Management, 270-600-PLAN. That's 270-600-7526.
All right, welcome back to the show. Let's jump into the topic this week, which is taxes. Now, before we get to all the tax moves that you can make, and I can't give you an exhaustive list here, but I'm going to give you some of the ones that we know move the needle pretty aggressively for you. I want to set a couple of guidelines here. What we are discussing today is going to be tools and topics that you need to be aware of if you have amassed some substantial amounts of money in the market. If you are young and you're just starting out, I wouldn't be as conscious on what your investments will generate in taxes as I would just be investing, buying and holding good, solid companies, and knowing that the market will, over time, appreciate those assets. Some of the things you can do as a young investor are very simple, by maybe considering a Roth IRA over a traditional IRA or a Roth 401k over a traditional 401k. All of those things can be discussed with a financial advisor for sure. But I want to talk about a couple of strategies that are a little bit more on the advanced level of planning for taxes. And I'm not even talking as much about your CPA type of planning. I'm talking about a retirement income plan that is built to be as tax efficient as possible. At RD Smothers Wealth Management, one of the things that we know is that if we can help save our clients in taxes over their lifetime, say 20 or 30%, it's the same thing as if we helped make them an additional 20 or 30% because they get to keep that in their pocket. They get to pass that on to a loved one. Whatever it is that they want to use it for, they have the ability to use it for. And so we build this plan, this tax plan, as one of the 5 main plans that we build for retirees who are in income phase. If you are in income phase and you do not have a true tax plan for how you are going to efficiently utilize the tax code, you're likely working with a growth advisor. If the only thing you've been told is, well, let's consider Roth contributions, then you're likely considered a growth investor. And if you're not actually in growth phase and you're more close to the income phase, that type of advice may not get you where you want to be as efficiently as you could otherwise be there. In other words, if you're over the age of 59 and a half and you have not begun to focus on your income plan and what tax is going to look like for you in the income phase, then you need to be very conscious of that, and you need to sit down with someone who can help you. We can do that at RD Smothers Wealth Management. We specialize in the retirement income phase. And we do this, again, in part by making sure that that tax is efficiently paid and not just paid because the IRS tells you you have to. Doing this type of proactive planning will save you money. And one of the things that we see a lot of people kind of get caught off guard by and they may know it's coming, but they've never actually put any planning around it, is something called a required minimum distribution, which at 73, you are required to take out of your IRA money, 401k money, 403b money, the money that you have set aside for retirement. There will be a time where the IRS requires you to pull money out of that account and to pay taxes on it. And sometimes that will cause extra taxes on things like Social Security that may have otherwise been avoidable. Or even worse, we've seen multiple people who have substantial amounts of money in their retirement accounts and they've never put actual planning into place. And because of these RMDs, they're now getting kicked into something called IRMA, which is a special tax on Medicare, and Medicare becomes more expensive for them. The same health coverage they received just a year ago, now they're paying 20, 30, even as much as 50% more. And my goodness, sometimes double or triple the amount of what they would have to pay if they had just put a little bit of tax planning into place years prior. So required minimum distributions are oftentimes things that we've got to make sure we're paying attention to. And these required minimum distributions can only really be discovered and understood if we've put an actual plan together. For us to know roughly what your required minimum distribution is going to be, we have to very quickly understand how much income you need right now in retirement. If you're 65 or 70, well, you've got a few years to plan around this required minimum distribution. If you're actively in required minimum distributions, maybe by taking a little bit more than what you're actually required to take, you can start to free yourself of the burden of required minimum distributions later in life. Or perhaps if you're at RMD age, maybe we should consider something called a QCD or a QLAC. A QCD or a QLAC. Now, this is a very advanced piece of planning that we can do for a retiree or someone who is maybe even still working, but being forced to take a required minimum distribution from a retirement account. This particular this section, let's say, of the show is really for those who are a little bit deeper into their retirement years. You know, this is not for the 59. This is not even for the 69-year-old. This is more or less for the 70 and older crowd, we'll say. Probably even 73 and older, because in order for you to be qualified to have a QCD, you have to be eligible for a required minimum distribution. So if you have required minimum distributions right now, I'm talking to you. And one thing you may consider is to take the RMD, the required minimum distribution, and instead to gift it to a church or a charity, perhaps even one that you have already been gifting to anyway. We see so many people who have been working with a growth advisor all of these years. They've been very good advisors. It's not that there have been bad advisors. They just haven't looked at the holistic plan, specifically the tax portion for these individuals who have been taking income. And now at required minimum distribution age, they are taking out income from their IRAs and maybe even having to take additional income for required minimum distributions. And then they're writing a check for tithes or just general offerings and charity to churches or 501c3s that they want to support. Well, a more efficient way would be to send that 501c3 money from your IRA. And by doing this, you will lower your tax bill this year. And you will lower your tax bill over and above your standard deduction. So one thing that many people aren't aware of is that if you're writing a charity check, unless you have done your taxes in a very specific way called itemized deductions, you may not actually get the benefit of that charity. The Big Beautiful Bill has changed a little bit of that recently, but understanding that a QCD, a qualified charitable distribution, can be taken as a deduction over and above the standard deduction. So now as a 73-year-old, you have the standard deduction, you have the senior deduction, you have the new senior bonus deduction from the Big Beautiful Bill that was signed into law, and now if done correctly, you can also take your distributions for the charity up to the amount that your forced RMD would have been. This can be a very sizable distribution and a deduction for you that will lower your tax bill even farther. Simply put, if you are at the age of required minimum distributions and you have not considered this idea of QCDs, you need to consider this. And that's exactly where RD Smothers Wealth Management comes in. We help a client who is at required minimum distribution age make sure that they're taking advantage of the tax code in the most efficient way, lowering your taxes this year and lowering your tax that you will pass to your loved ones when and if you've passed away. And here's the thing, the QCD, that qualified charitable distribution, is one of many tools we can use. We can talk about something called donor advised funds, which give you the ability to take a very large deduction now for the money that you have given to a charity. We could utilize things like QLACs, where we are able to defer your RMD to as late as 85 from that account. That's pretty incredible. But really what we need to consider is, are you utilizing the tax code as efficiently as possible? And if not, we can help you build a plan to do just that. So I would urge you, if you're in the age of, say, 73 and older, and you may think, well, listen, I've already arrived and there's nothing I can do. Quite the contrary. We help clients every single day, just like you, lower their tax bill on their retirement accounts because of the tools we can use. And we are well versed in this. Building a tax plan for you now is just as important for you. And it is equally, if not more important, for your beneficiaries who will receive funds when you have passed away. This will help leave a legacy that you may have thought not even possible, and it will certainly eliminate a lot of the burden that you would pass to a loved one if you're leaving them with IRA or 401k money. All of this can be done for you simply by giving us a call, 270-600-PLAN, or if you are interested in navigating to our website, and that may not be what you prefer at 73, but if you jump on our website and you go to schedule a call, we'd be happy to set up a 15-minute phone call with you and just see if there's any benefit that we may be able to give. Just by asking a few questions, we can know if it would benefit by sitting down together to look at your holistic picture. Someone on my team can help you lower your tax bill over your lifetime and the tax bill of your loved ones. And we know we can do this because we do it for clients every single day, helping them achieve the retirement they've always imagined while also leaving behind a legacy they never thought possible. So let's jump to a quick break. We're going to come back with something called tax loss harvesting and how you, no matter what your age is, can benefit from this, and how we are assisting clients every single day, especially those of high net worth. If you have over, let's say, $1 million invested, or you have a net worth of over $2 million, this is a huge benefit for you, and it is one that we see often overlooked at the end of the year. Tax loss harvesting. Don't go anywhere. We're coming right back right after this.
You're listening to the Retirement Matters Show with Dale Smothers. Dale is the founder and president of RD Smothers Wealth Management. We specialize in building retirement plans that allow you to walk away from the worry of running out of money. If you'd like to chat with a member of our team, you can do so absolutely free by calling 270-600-PLAN. That's 270-600-PLAN. Visit us online at rdswealth.com and be sure to sign up for our free weekly newsletter.
All right, welcome back to the show. Let's get into something called tax loss harvesting and how it can help you as you approach the end of the year. Every single year when you are looking at your account, you likely have what we call winners and losers in the stock market. And if you are not taking advantage of your losers, then you may be leaving a lot of money on the table. Or, in other words, you may be putting a lot of money into the IRS's pocket that's not necessary. At RD Smothers Wealth Management, we help our high net worth clients who have a sizable amount of money outside of their IRAs that is invested in the market. We help them lower their tax bill, and we have seen some really substantial tax savings. We utilize some of the leading institutions in the industry, Charles Schwab and Fidelity. We will utilize some of their tax loss harvesting strategies for our higher net worth clients who have substantial capital gains on some stocks and maybe some losses on others. And over the course of the year, we are selling the losers, repositioning into things that we think could be winners, That way, over time, we can trim your actual long-term capital gain tax bill. Now, if you're a high net worth client, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you have money that every year you are concerned about having to pay taxes when you sell, let's say, a share of Apple or a share of Amazon, maybe you have bought NVIDIA a long time ago, we utilize this tax loss harvesting strategy to lower your overall tax bill and to diversify your account away from one concentrated individual stock. What this does is it gives you a peace of mind knowing that you are paying as little tax on the winners because we have taken advantage of those losses throughout the year. And what that means for you simply is that when you're ready to sell something to raise some cash, when you're ready to buy something, whether it's a farm, a car, a house, or just taking your family on vacation, we can sell those shares of stock and pay less in tax from that sale. And it's all because we have done this type of planning over the course of time. Now, this not only stands to benefit you for this year's tax bill, but for future tax bills as well, and clearly over the lifetime of your account, being able to help eliminate some unnecessary taxes. Again, it's all about utilizing the tax code efficiently. And if we can help lower your long-term tax bill, your long-term capital gains taxes, if we can make them smaller by utilizing tax loss harvesting throughout the years, especially in years like 2022 when almost everything was down throughout the course of the year, there were likely opportunities that were missed. And in 2025, when everything is up, well, you've probably got some not so good stocks in there if you've got a diversified portfolio. And we would be able to help you understand which ones need to be bought, which ones need to be sold, and which ones we can lower your tax bill on. All of this goes into a true tax plan. And this really benefits anyone who has a sizable amount of money in a non-qualified account. I would say over $500,000 in an account that is not a retirement account. You need to be utilizing this type of tax loss harvesting, especially in this year, because you may look at your account and say, well, it's went up. But because I know what I know about the stock market, there is likely some portion of your account that's not went up as much as the other portions. And by taking advantage of those, by getting out of them for the length of time that we have to get out of them, and then even if we want to get back into them, we can. But by doing this appropriately, tax loss harvesting can save you quite a bit of money on your taxes. So if that is you and you want us to help you take a look at your account, if you want a second set of eyes to see if tax loss harvesting can really help your tax bill, give us a call, 270-600-PLAN, or navigate to our website, rdswealth.com. Simply click on schedule a call, and one of our team members will reach out to you when a time is convenient for you. You can schedule that time that we can sit down and chat. If that's a 15-minute or a 30-minute phone call, we can tell you very quickly if it makes sense for us to have a more formal meeting and to do some deep dive analysis. We're going to take a real quick break, and when we come back, we're going to discuss something that is beneficial for savers who like CDs or savings accounts because the stock market's just a little bit too risky. There are better ways to invest, especially as rates are coming down, that give you substantially lower tax bills. We're going to talk about that going into next segment. Don't go anywhere. We're coming right back with more Retirement Matters right after this.
Thank you for listening to Retirement Matters, presented by RD Smothers Wealth Management. If you'd like to speak with us, give us a call at 270-600-PLAN. And if you enjoy the information in this show and would like to hear more, you can access previous shows by searching for the Retirement Matters podcast on the podcast platform of your choice. We also produce a weekly newsletter. Receive it free to your email inbox by signing up online at rdswealth.com.
All right, welcome back to the show. We've got just a little bit of time, but I want to hit this for the savers out there who have money in CDs or savings accounts because the market is just too risky. There are ways for you to lower your tax bill, and it all revolves around that pesky 1099 that you receive every single year, whether you take money out of this account or not. You may think that you're earning, say, 5% rate of return on your CDs, but by the time you get done paying all the tax on that, you may actually be earning much closer to 2.5% or 3% rate of return, depending on where you live in the country. And that is why we believe that it makes a lot of sense, especially as rates are coming down, to look at alternatives to bank-backed CDs. There are things called insurance-backed CDs that give us a very nice rate of return for 2, 3, 4 year lock periods of time, very substantial rates of return, sometimes way more than what the bank is giving us. And those insurance-backed CDs also give us the opportunity to defer taxes, which means we don't pay tax until we actually take the money out. That's huge. It helps us compound and earn interest on money that we would have otherwise paid in tax. That's big, because not only does it lower our tax bill, it gives us a higher rate of return. And then there's also an options-based strategy, which is a powerful alternative to CDs because it gives you the ability to earn between 0 and, let's say, 10% rate of return any given year, depending on how the market's done. No downside, only upside potential. So if the market's down, your money doesn't make anything. But if the market's up, let's say in a quarter's time, you may be able to earn as much as 2.5% in 3 months. If you annualize that, that's nearly 10% a year. And that type of option strategy, once again, doesn't give a tax bill until you pull it out. And in that option strategy, you have the ability to take that money out in long-term capital gains. And that is much more advantaged for those who have a higher net worth or maybe a higher income. Simply put, you're going to make more and pay less in taxes. By looking at alternatives for CDs right now, you can still have the safety that you desire, but you have much better chance of a higher return and lower taxes. At the end of the day, if we can save you money in taxes, we know that it's the same as if we had made you more in your investments. And that's what we hold to be true at RD Smothers Wealth Management. We want to help you personalize your plan for retirement to where you can retire the way you desire and not have to worry about missing out on opportunities that should have been taken for you by your advisor. All right, and just like that, that is the end of the show. The time has flown by. I appreciate you spending it with us each and every week. We love coming to you and helping you with the information you need to retire the way you desire and to live happy in retirement. If you are interested in maybe looking at these alternatives, whether it's QCDs, tax loss harvesting, QLACs, or CD alternatives, give us a call, 270-600-PLAN. We would love to show you how we can help you lower your tax bill on your investments and set up your retirement for a more efficient tax income strategy, leaving money behind to your loved ones that would be more tax efficient as well. All of this can be done by putting the right plans together, and we're here to help you do that today. Now, until we talk again, whether it's in person or it's right here on the same station, always remember these 3 very important things: save money, plan well, and live happy in retirement. God bless.
Investing involves a risk, including the potential loss of principal. Any references to protection, safety, or lifetime income generally refer to fixed insurance products, never securities or investments. Insurance guarantees are backed by the financial strength and claims paying abilities of the issuing carrier. This radio show is intended for informational purposes only. It is not intended to be used as the sole basis for financial decisions, nor should it be construed as advice designed to meet the particular needs of an individual situation. RD Smothers Wealth Management is not permitted to offer, and no statement made during this show shall constitute tax or legal advice. Our firm is not affiliated with or endorsed by the U.S. government or any governmental agency. The information and opinions contained herein provided by third parties have been obtained from sources believed to be reliable, but accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed by RD Smothers Wealth Management.